My coverage of Computex 2023 is brought to you by Gigabyte, G-Skill, Thermaltake, and Cooler Master. Welcome back, everyone. I made my way over to the Corsair suite booth area. I don't know, they got a big room here at the Hyatt. There are lots of people here today, so I'm going to make my way to some of the stations they have. Have you ever had difficulty setting up an RGB lighting setup in your PC? Corsair has a solution. Let's check it out. We have like workstations set up over here for streaming and for getting work done and everything, but look what's over here. Link, the iCue smart ecosystem. So I'll be honest with you guys, I actually already know about all this stuff. I got a briefing on this a couple months back. It was pretty cool, and I wasn't able to share any of it with you. So let me lead with the negative part of this. If you're negative about proprietary connectors, this might not be for you. But if you hate setting up RGB lighting, especially with lots of different components, and especially if you are at all familiar with the Corsair iCue software and its ability to control RGB stuff, well, the new iCue Link smart ecosystem has solved a major issue of building an RGB-enabled PC. And it's all powered by this little guy right here. This is the iCue Link System Hub, which has a few plugs, but it's very small. Why is this so small? Sometimes you get RGB controllers that are huge. This one's tiny. It only has a few connection points too. This one's for power. This one is for USB connection. This one you can actually connect up to your motherboard, so it reports CPU RPM like a fan RPM, so your motherboard doesn't get mad at you and be like, hey, you don't have a fan running on your CPU cooler. So that's a nice little small feature, but the main feature is this plug right here. And there's actually two of them on each device. And that single plug, yes, it is proprietary. Yes, we're gonna admit that. But that single plug can control up to seven, so 5 plus 2, 7 RGB devices. We have 2 fans, 2 all-in-one cooler pump block units, 3 more fans right here, all with lots of RGB LEDs in them. But for 7 devices each, you can actually control up to 14 devices per unit. And do note that those devices do need to be part of the new lineup, the iCue Link system, because there's actually intelligence built into the fans and the end devices as well. So that's part of how they're keeping this little device so small. Is compatible iCue hardware, fans, anything else with RGB does need to be part of that system. So there is a little bit of a lack of backwards compatibility there. However, this whole system, if you buy some of this stuff and you plug it into your system, but then you also have some older Corsair iCue hardware, the iCue software will still recognize it all. It will still play nice together. So you do have a little bit of an upgrade path if you're not ready to fully invest in the iCue Link system. But let's take a look at the fans just as an example. These fans are continuing the trend, which is a good trend, of being daisy chainable. And once again, we have a different means of making daisy chainable fans than we've seen some of the other vendors do on the market. So we're affectionately calling these biscuits. Basically, they fit in between the fans, so you can connect them up together. There's a passive one that just provides a little bit of structural support. There's an active one that actually has the connection points in there. So just add the biscuits in there, and then the fans pop together. So there are magnets that will help provide a little bit more support for connecting those together, but then the biscuits provide structural support, also of course provide the data connection, I should say the data connection and the power connection to spin the fans and also control the RGB. Added bonus, look at this little thing right here. That is a temperature sensor. This temperature sensor can report to the iCue software. That can allow you to do some interesting things. They're talking about different ways that they might implement that. Like for instance, they would love to have a one-click method that reaches out to all the temperature sensors in your system once you have it mapped out. So it will say, here's the temperature of the air coming in, here's the temperature of the air going out from different places in your computer. Maybe run a stress test and optimize things for you. That would be really cool. But the fans are just one of the devices that are part of this iCue Link system. How do they connect together? If you want to connect together 7 devices or something like that, you can directly connect them like with the biscuit system and the fans over here, or they have lots of different cable options for connecting things up as well. So here's an iCue Link cable kit. You have splitters, you have right angle adapters, you have cables in white or black so you can match them with your build. You can even have a splitter here, so one plug here over to the other, and as long as you're sticking within that 7 device limit, you're good to go. Over here they have a full system set up, and they're doing a few different things with this system too. So because you can daisy chain these devices together, and because the AIOs that are part of this system also have the cabling passing through the tubing, which means that the central pump block unit doesn't have a bunch of cables coming off of it. It's just got the one coming up here, which is going over to the AIO. And then they've routed the cable down to the bottom and one cable coming over here to that iCue Link hub. And because the iCue software is getting a lot of data being reported back to it, for instance, stuff like fan RPMs, they have some cool effects that they can do with this. They're using a Stream Deck here to control it, which has a iCue plugin, but you can tap this to switch, between colors and everything like that. But there's also like a strobing effect that it can do. There's a little bit of flicker on camera right now that's not apparent in real life, but just look at the fans. Look how slow it looks like they're going. Why don't we make them go backwards? Look, now the fans are going backwards. That's pretty cool. Why don't we stop the fans? Fans are stopped. They're not actually stopped. They're still spinning. It's just strobing the LEDs in time with the RPMs of the fans. So not just RGB, but some pretty cool just effects you can do by tying in the software with the iCue Link solution and making use of that data that's being reported to enable these effects. There's also now a whole line of iCue Link water cooling components, because Corsair has, of course, a lot of custom water cooling devices. They have the full ecosystem set up, so you can get your pump and your block, and you can get your fittings, and you can get your tubing. Check out this new lineup of tubing that they have, as well as the fittings going on either end. We got white, chrome, black, as well as a nice gold finish. But we also have the finish on the tubing itself. The white, the satin, and the matte black, you can still bend those, I'm told. You can bend those and it still turns out that same color. Unfortunately, they don't have a water-cooled system set up with that here to actually show you that, but I'm taking their word for it for now. Here's also a look at their new cooling hardware, like the XD5 RGB Elite reservoir and pump combo unit, which has a nice silver finish or a nice black finish. And next to that, you have the upgraded version, the iCue Link XD5 RGB Elite LCD. Long name for that one, but basically you have the reservoir and the pump, and you also have an LCD built into it down at the bottom that can tell you stuff like your liquid temperature, or put a cat gift on there or something like that. They've also redesigned their CPU blocks. They have a nice metal finish now. They've gotten rid of the plastic, so everything looks a little bit cleaner. And an interesting thing about some of the new CPUs that have come out, like the chiplet-based CPUs from AMD on AM5, the hotspots are not necessarily all the same. So they redesigned these blocks to have triple channels. So the inlet here, it's a little bit hard to see, but I got a close-up of it, actually spreads the flow across 3 vertical channels, and that's going to give you additional flow over a wider part of the heat spreader on your CPU to help cool not just like your chiplets, but also like the IO die, and hopefully help keep temps under control a little bit more, especially for those like Ryzen 7000 series CPUs that can get pretty toasty, 95 degrees, working as intended. Those are called iCue Link XC7 RGB Elite CPU water blocks. And then we also have a universal GPU block right here, the iCue Link XG3 RGB, because there is similarity between the designs of a lot of GPUs these days, especially if you're looking at like all NVIDIA GPUs. The GPU itself and the memory modules are typically all in the same place. So that allowed them to design a universal block that also has a fan built into it. So that's going to provide some extra airflow over the power delivery components on the graphics card. So you get your water cooling, you get your cooling for your power delivery, and you get a finish. It's going to tie in really well with the rest of Corsair's custom water cooling setup. Here's a question for you guys. What's better than platinum? Well, if you're looking at like power supplies, it goes from 80 plus platinum up to 80 plus titanium. Corsair has taken that to heart, and they've now upgraded their Dominator Platinum line to Dominator Titanium. To be clear, there still will be Dominator Platinum memory kits out there on the market, but Dominator Titanium looks like this. Well, specifically the ones on the right here are the ones that you're going to be able to buy like directly, and there is a non-RGB setup for those of you who hate RGB. If you hate RGB, I'm sorry about all the RGB in this video, but Corsair has you in mind as well. The top kit is sort of the standard retail finish for that, but these also have mounting points at the top, and Corsair is going to share 3D printing files to allow for custom-made top bars like the ones that you see right here. Still allowing the RGB LEDs to shine through, but giving custom builders the ability to make some really unique designs, like this one right here, which has a metal top finish, which sort of has a wavy design. Now this is a CNC milled metal piece, so obviously that one's going to be a little bit more of a specialty design, but we've got another nice clean looking one up here on top, just to give some more diversity and flexibility for custom finishes for people who are building those systems that they really want to stand out. And of course, Dominator Titanium will feature some of the fastest memory speeds that Corsair has available. Right now they're listing capacities up to 48 gigs for kits, and speeds at DDR5 6000 plus. So we'll see what actual XMP values they come out with when this comes to market. And yes, they do have a really a nice looking all-white system, showing off the white version of the Dominator Titanium, looking pretty clean. Finally, I wanted to show off the Corsair 2000D Airflow. This launched just last week. There are a couple different varieties of it. One with RGB, that is a $200 MSRP case, and one without RGB, that's going to be $140. They have a pretty cool setup for the white version here with just all the case side panels off to the side so you can get a better look at the interior. This is a tower style case. It is a Mini-ITX chassis. It has a fairly small footprint for setting up on top of your desk, but they're fitting a lot of hardware in here. Basically, you can set up the highest end hardware that's available right now in this chassis, and it will fit. They have an RTX 4090, the NVIDIA Founders Edition, installed there at the back. It's kind of tucked away. Somehow the RTX 4090 is less of a feature, but they are showing off the fact that on the right side here, they have a 360mm all-in-one radiator with, of course, the Corsair RGB LED fans. 3 more fans going down the front here, providing lots of airflow over everything inside the case. And on the opposite side, you can see that they have an 850 watt SFX power supply, as well as the Mini-ITX motherboard that sets down on the bottom. This case does not need a riser cable, and I find that to be a nice feature because riser cables are useful. They're flexible in some situations. They can also introduce incompatibility issues sometimes. So Corsair spent some extra time to make sure that this layout was able to accommodate this hardware in this small footprint form factor, while also not needing to use a riser cable. The iCue 2000D is available in white and in black, and again, RGB version or non-RGB version. And once again, this case is already launched, so look for it at a popular online retailer near you. But guys, that's all the time I have for here at the Corsair booth at Computex 2023. What do you think of that new iCue Link stuff? Would you be willing to invest in a system that uses proprietary connectors in order to get rid of all the cable clutter and take advantage of the features that it has when tied in with the iCue software? Let me know in the comment section down below. I want to say a big thank you to my sponsors for Computex 2023, Thermaltake, Gigabyte, G-Skill, and Cooler Master. I have more videos coming at you real soon. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, go over to Kyle's video and tell him that his camera sucks, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Hey Kyle, your camera sucks.
Your camera. Hey, you got the Lumix out.
I know.
You switched to even better camera.
Well,
even your lesser camera was better than my camera.
It's all about versatility.
It's all about pouring salt in the wound. Let's see. What a friend. Okay, where was I before Paul so rudely interrupted me?